Hi, this is Tim Marshall. Welcome to R&B Showcase Live. We got a great show for you today. Coming to you from the heart and soul of Philadelphia. We have a guest co-host joining us. As a matter of fact, she is from the What's Going On show, which is heard on 106.5 FM right here in Philadelphia. Going to welcome Marlisa Patterson to the show. Marlisa, how you doing?
I am fantastic.
Well,
I am
thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, I understand you're going to be talking, you got a special topic today. What is the topic you're going to be talking about today?
Relationships.
Okay.
With Shelby-Parris.
All right. I'm looking forward to this interview.
It's going to be interesting.
What y'all going to be talking about?
Some female, male stuff.
Okay.
So he's going to give us his expert advice.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm going to leave that all up to you. Coming up next, special guest co-host Marlisa Patterson and guest author Shelby-Parris. Coming up next on this edition of R&B Showcase Live. Introduce the band.
I know they're antsy to play over here, so I guess guys, give it up for the Dead Flowers, baby. They're ready to rock and roll. Yeah!
Of the legendary Spinners, and you're watching R&B Showcase Live with Tim Marshall on Philly Cat.
Hello, my name is Marlisa Patterson, and I am the co-host. Today I have with me Shelby-Parris, who is the author of A Man Amongst Girls. Today, I am honored to have you with us, Shelby.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I have some questions, and I will be quoting the book a little bit as well. And so I wanted to know, on page 7, you said that every female is not a queen and every male is not a king. So what would you constitute a king and a queen?
So how I broke it down and talking about it in the context of the book, when I think of a king and queen, I think of the certain demeanor and the personality, how somebody's able to carry themselves. When I think of a king and a queen, I think of somebody who is powerful, who is strong, who is confident in themselves, but has that ability to also adapt to the situation. And I primarily think of somebody that's like a leader, not just a boss, not like somebody that's just like right at you, feel like they have to control you, but somebody who's able to work with you, build you up. Then it's like, as the king, they usually take that alpha role, that lead role, that, all right, let's say I'm tired this day. When I need to be able to lean on you, can I hold you accountable for that? Can I come to you as my queen to be able to take lead and handle what we need to handle so we can still do what we need to do?
Okay, that's interesting. So now, I know that on page 12, you talk about the masculine role of a male and the feminine role of the female. What happened to the gender role?
I want to know the same thing. But how I experience and just seeing a lot of times in my life, or at least what's going on, is everyone wants to play that masculine role. And it's a matter of who can be more masculine than this person, who can do what over this person so much. That is so many, like, I'll break down the book. I use male and female as just talking about the sex itself. Then I use boy and girl as an immature mindset, and then man and woman as a more mature mindset. And it's a battle between the sexes where it's a matter of who can have more control, who could be the more dominant one. Whereas we forget the natural order, and just naturally as a guy, you still want a feminine female. But now when you have that battle with women out here trying to be more masculine and take lead, then you got the ego of the male trying to be even more masculine and take lead. It's a clash. So it's something I feel like is really lost amongst our society right now.
Okay, interesting. Now, I wanted to know, I know you talked about a girl that you liked in school, the light-skinned girl that you liked in school. Did that have some kind of impact on how you feel about relationships today?
It definitely gave me a certain experience, and it made me just really look at things and be able to say, all right, you can't just fall in love with the potential. Just because that's what you want it to be doesn't mean that's how it's actually going to be. Happily, the relationship I had with her, gaining that experience, it gave me the ability to see things from a different perspective and be able to really take a look at myself and realize more of who I am, and then what I wanted, what I was looking for when it went into the next relationship. And then it really helped me to be, that hardworking young man and trying to be that good man in America that I work to be. So I don't discredit anybody I dated. I definitely thank all of them for the experience it was, because it was able to help me become who I am now.
Okay. Now, do you consider yourself a nice guy? Because I know you talk about that in the book quite a bit. Do you consider yourself a nice guy, and why? And also, do you have like a famous character or celebrity that you perceive as that nice guy? Like for instance, a Denzel Washington or...
Y'all still love Denzel, but...
Of course we do.
I myself, I do consider myself a good guy, and I primarily say that, like I talk about in the book, the influence I had from having my father around and coming from a 2-parent household. I was really able to see just how a man, in a sense, carried himself and led the family. My godfather and people like I spoke on Malcolm X in the book, because these were 3 men that really had that influence on my life. And then it really taught me and showed me just what I can do in terms of providing and supporting for myself, providing support for my family, my siblings, and then taking that and carrying that into who I was in terms of life. The main thing that I witnessed from them was accountability. My father was always accountable. I could always go to him. And then responsibility. So to me, when it comes to being that good guy, can I hold myself accountable, and am I taking responsibility for the actions that I make? Then when I think of somebody in terms of like a movie character, best I could say is like the dude Sidney from The Best Man.
The Best Man, yes.
Because he was somebody that he may have not been the so-called most masculine and the most aggressive male, but we saw just how he handled himself and how he stayed poised dealing with Shelby, the irony, right? But how he stayed poised dealing with Shelby and how she was, and then finally meeting Candace. And we got to see just how, as I even break down the book, how that good guy does get to finish on top. So that's somebody I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. Happy I was able to witness that in the movie.
Yeah, I like Shelby. He's awesome. I love The Best Man. So, do you believe in love? Do you think there is a such thing as love?
To me, love itself is a state of being. Like I talk about in the book, it's not really a matter of falling in love, but being loved.
Okay.
Like my first book, I talk about, it's on the law of attraction. So the law of attraction itself is saying, I've received what I declare to the universe through my thoughts, words, and actions. So it's the reason why the rich get richer. Who you are, what you act as, you're going to continue to receive more of that. So when it comes to love, how I look at it is just, as I live in love, as I be love, I continue to attract more love. I don't have to live life in fear. I don't have to worry or doubt what's going on, because I know that at the end of the day, it's going to work out for me.
Okay. Now, I know that you were saying that, now that was on page 15. You said, now in all honesty, Black women have no business being a part of feminism. What do you mean by that?
First off, just even kind of educating people, the feminist movement itself didn't allow Black women in. It wasn't even a movement that even thought of or was for Black women. The feminist movement itself was something that was created so that white women were able to have this certain power over themselves, with it being in just different waves, with the first wave of just them being able to have the control of their body, just dealing with their husbands, just saying that, you know, maybe I don't want to have sex on this day, or I don't want to do this, I don't want to go here, I want to be able to be myself. And then that second wave where it was just that fight for suffrage, then the control over the body, just being able to say if I would like to have a child or not. And then that third wave just really being of empowerment in terms of, we'll say, the professional world. So for a black woman, it's just, that wasn't, they weren't thinking about you. Mm-hmm. You gotta remember, that's in the early 1900s. That's when we still dealing with segregation. And then even moving on from that, like I broke it down in the book, I'm happy to have been able to at least learn of and see the women that made the impact, like Oprah, Angela Davis, Betty Shabazz, like to be able to see women like Rosa Parks, like literally see these women, Angela Davis, to see these women that literally made an impact, that proved that women too can be powerful. But what I feel like a lot of people miss, especially black women, it wasn't a matter of being powerful in the sense that I have to be more than what the male counterpart is, but I have to be powerful in the sense that I'm able to work side by side with him. And that's why I feel like a lot of people don't realize with the feminist movement. And then if people really were to study it more and read and just do the research and not just take things at face value, you know, the information is pretty blatant. It's right there.
Okay. Now, about gay relationships and gender roles, how does that play out?
In terms of somebody that is homosexual, to me, it's just, that's your life. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything to do with that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, do what's gonna make you happy. So that's all you. In terms of the gender roles and in terms of relationships itself, something we forget is we naturally come from a matriarchal world. No matter what happens in the world or how much things may change, no matter how much of a patriarchal world they try to push and force, just kind of connecting back to African spirituality and connecting back to, I like to say, cycles and patterns, not necessarily history, but the cycles and patterns and what we originally came from, it was led by women. We used to go to women. Women were our government system. Women were the ones that we relied on. It was that intuitive nature. It wasn't until, I'm not necessarily gonna put a date on it, but it wasn't until, say, later in the experience of life, which these certain figures and things were created that end up making people look into what's now this patriarchal world. But originally, people forget, the male itself, our job was to cook, clean, harvest, hunt when need be, build. It was literally protecting the women. We ourselves were house husbands. I'm not gonna say we forget that, but that's not something we're really educated on. So a lot of people don't know. That's why I love women so much, because it's just knowing that the natural order, we could say, knowing to say the roles that we're speaking on is always gonna be a woman's world.
Okay, well said. So I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can read some of your quotes from the book. So we have on page 27, you say, on countless occasions, I can think of times when I felt like I was finishing last as the nice guy. And then on page 24, you say, you attract what you are. If you're a hateful person, well, you're going to manifest hateful people. Simple as that. So keep that in mind next time you're looking for love and seem to not be able to find it. Stop, gather yourself, close your eyes, woosah. Then start to be loved. Now, is it that easy? Is that the formula? And so why are you finishing as the last guy then?
Put it like this, but my life, at least being like that nice guy, just to be honest and just real transparent, I couldn't even really talk to a female in terms of like pursuing her till I was like 17 years old.
Okay.
Even then, like my hands would start sweating. I was still like pretty shy. So that was something that I had to work myself out of. And even with that, it was a certain lack of confidence. And because of that, I felt like I was attracting a lot of young women who didn't necessarily have the confidence in themselves. I was attracting a lot of people that were also unsure of themselves, also people that would, in a sense, degrade, not like in a real bad way, but just play themselves and sell themselves shorter than who they really were and what they were really able to do. So that was something that, just again, me being a big enthusiast of the law of attraction, that was something that it was the consequences of my actions and what I had to deal with. That was who I was. I was somebody that wasn't too confident, was somebody that just felt like, things were kind of a certain way and that I really couldn't control. I really couldn't change it, but it was like I just had to go through these certain things. So it was just, you got to go through the experiences to learn at the end of the day, yes. But if I would have had the mindset that I was in a greater control of what's going on around me, I definitely know that I would have been able to have more positive relationships, probably more lasting relationships. The irony, I had like 14 relationships through high school. So for somebody that was shy, I don't know how it happened either.
Okay. Well, you played basketball too. So you think that had something to do with it? Because the basketball players and the football players, they always get the girls. Okay. Yeah.
It definitely had something to do with it. I really didn't realize that till getting to college. But at least in high school, now, like as I got older and look back at it, it definitely had something to do with it. Like my godmother used to say and laugh about, you always gonna be able to, somebody always gonna like you, or a girl always gonna come after you when you got a jump shot. So it was like, when I look back at it, it was always, girls around. But again, shy. I was just real naive. I still, like, I gotta go out with a wing woman. Like I dead will have to call my best friend or my cousin, like, yo, let's go to the mall. I want you to let me know if somebody looking at me because I want to try to find a date because I want to go to the movies. Like when Lion King come out or something, like I need to learn how to be able to do this. So it's definitely there. It happens.
Okay. Now, I know also you said that nice guys, not nice guys, but ugly guys, they don't stand a chance. So they have to be funny. Is that, do you think that?
Facts, definitely.
Yeah.
Because as soon as she opened her eyes, it's over.
No.
But I'm put it like this. It's funny because as bad as it sounds, I have some friends or some people that I grew up with that weren't necessarily the most attractive and are in some of the happiest relationships.
Yeah.
And I'll be looking at it like, what's wrong with me?
Okay.
But nah, it was just a joke I put in the book. But everyone is attractive in their own sense. Everyone's definitely able to find and have that certain love. Again, when you being in love, you're gonna attract that too. So nah, you don't gotta be the best looking one and still be able to find somebody. You can find someone.
Yes, right. So Shelby, what inspired you and what influenced you to write this book?
When I first started writing, I had about 3 books that I was initially going to write. I knew I was going to write on the law of attraction, which was my first book. I knew my second book, I was going to talk about my experience with relationships. My third book was originally going to be on the school system, but I just came out with something different, just allowing life to play out. But it was something that I knew that I wanted to give a voice to the hard work, and especially young men that I know as I experienced. I wanted to say, you know what, forget all of this. I'm going to be that bad boy, that bad guy. I attempted, it wasn't in me, couldn't do it at all. Not me at all.
Just not in you.
Just not in me. But it was just like, all right, you know what, I'm going to be true to who I am. And at the same time, I'm going to own it, and then I'm going to empower it.
Okay, so now, I know that you had some other projects, and did you want to talk about them? I know you had some other things going on. What's going on with you?
Well, I'm on my 4th book now.
Let's
just
see
finished
them.
my 4th book.
Let's
So
see.
A Man Amongst Girls, the one we speaking
That's
on.
the one I read.
I have my first book, Change the Subconscious and Accomplish. So happily wrote that one about 2 years ago. And then my 2 recent ones, I actually wrote both of these within 20 days. And I do graphic design, so cover to cover, happily did my books
Okay, show them.
themselves.
So the audience can see.
Yep, Change the Subconscious and Accomplish, Unavoidable Truths, Change the Subconscious and Accomplish, Manifesting Affirmations. So it was just continuations from the first book. And then just to assure itself, I trap books, the whole goal is just changing the narrative of trap. For those that don't know, trap means sell, but it's changing the narrative and showing young men and people that it's more than just sports, it's more than music, it's more than the streets. And me putting it into the books, being able to show these young men that, look, I know people that was in the streets. I know people that do music, and me myself, I got to happily play professional basketball. So it's more to it. What are you gonna do when that life runs out?
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Shelby, I have one more question for you. Now, we know now that you have 4 books. Congratulations. And I want to know, how do you prepare as a writer, starting with the pen, to write about what's going on in the mind? Like, how do you prepare? What do? You go to a hotel for a week or so, and what do? You turn off your cell phone?
It's definitely a process.
Okay.
I do have a self-publishing class, and one of the main things I talk about in there is your personality type. So when it comes to writing, are you somebody that is an intentional writer or an impulsive writer? Me, myself, I'm more so impulsive. I don't necessarily need to write down the rough draft, but for me, it is efficient, don't get me wrong. But for me, it's this, I could take notes in my head, I could just jot down notes, and then after that, I could just throw it right on the paper. Like the first book, Change Your Subconscious and Accomplish. Man, I just reached out one day and it was just like, all right, I know I want to write a book. Where can I get this help from to write the book? I found a mentor. He gave me all the clues, well, all the tips and all the nuggets I needed to go out and write it. I remember sitting in my dorm room. I sat down for like probably a solid almost 40 hours straight writing this. And it was just, you know, once you lock in and just being disciplined with it, you're able to knock it out. The book itself, it took me 5 days to write. I wrote it in September, and then it took me 3 months before I finally had it published. So it's pretty simple. It's really just, you gotta be able to lock in. That's at the end of the day, success itself is discipline.
Yeah, you enjoy it. So
Definitely.
yeah, it should be easy. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Being able to share my process is one of the biggest things to me. I like helping people. Like even just this, I have a 7-book children's series that I created for my little sister. And why I love that so much is I put that in the trust. So the trust is in her name. I own the trust. And the book itself is called Kennedy's Dreams.
Okay.
So with that, we're teaching, well, I'll say that. I'll leave it like that. We are teaching young kids how to control their mind. We're teaching 7 of the universal laws. And that's creating generational wealth already. So that's being able to help. Then I have the class. I have the books. I'll mentor people. I'll assist people with stuff like that. So it's literally just being able to help people, man.
Okay. Well, Shelby, it was a pleasure having you on, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed you.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, this is Tim Marshall, and welcome to R&B Showcase Live. We're into our 2nd season of the program.
Hey, this is Lil Saunders, formerly singer of Hell Beverly Hills. You're watching Tim Marshall on the R&B Showcase Live.
Hello. How you doing? Oh yeah. I'm having something tonight. Okay, yeah. You got friends? You got friends? Alright, bet, yeah. Yeah, I'll send you your address. Just slide through, I guess. Alright, bet. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Jamaican blacks alongside Justice. I don't know why the girl let me stop calling. She keep calling me, me not gonna answer that. She in the feelings too, yo I cancel that. I just order her a Louis bag, cancel that. Me not gonna follow you, no I ain't no copycat. I don't wanna dish you, but what's the issue? You keep calling me, but you know I miss you. I know we close and all, don't take it personal. I'm just a different kind of guy, I'm not emotional. But girl, you look good, you know me not gonna lie. Hey, girl, you call me phone, you make me friend fiance why? Girl, you make a nigga nervous, for some kind of shy. Like alkaline say, things take a little time. Yeah, things take a little time, so we make a flex and bust a little wine. I don't care who hates us, me not have no time. You don't wanna come off on, well that's fine.
You got me calling for you, cause it just gets so boring without you. Girl, I can tell you're lonely, tell the truth, so I'ma keep on calling for you, for you. Woman, you know I put my pride aside to call. Usually don't take the time, I'm getting too involved, but the way you work it making wanna pause. So don't waste my time, need you to pick up when I call. When I call, cause I'm the ball. My time is precious, but you know you're valuable. You're valuable to my soul. Just pick up the phone, cause I'm about to let you know. You make the time worth spending. Oh, it ain't no use pretending. No, stay next for you, I'm bending. My time to you, I'm leading. Cause you got me calling for you, cause it just gets so boring without you. Girl, I can tell you're lonely, tell the truth, so I'ma keep on calling for you, for you.
Calling my phone, can't leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. Keep calling my phone, can't leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. Hey, she want all of me, I want all of her. She keep calling me, I keep calling her. She want all of me, I want all of her. She keep calling me, I keep calling her.
For you, cause it just gets so boring without you.